Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. It's your boy, Jahi, aka Mr. Degenerate. And I wanted to do something a little special since E3 is about to be here. And we're all going to be busy praying to the gods that every goddamn game we want doesn't get delayed or there's some surprises. I wanted to take this time to talk about Resident Evil 8. I went over in my head, I wanted to talk about it so much. There's so much to talk about Resident Evil 8. But then I thought to myself, I'm like, motherfucker, why don't you just talk about the whole series? And what's your favorite ones? And I'm like, that's a beautiful idea. So, this is going to be a tier list of all the Resident Evil games. We have all the Resident Evil games. Some that are not even fucking out yet. Just saying. Now, here's how we're gonna do this. These are the tier lists, and you might, for Resident Evil fans, you know what some of these reference are. For those that are not, oh well, you're just gonna have to roll with it. I wanted to spice it up a little bit, but we already know what Itchy Tasty S rank is. A, B, C, E, F, haven't played. So these are my rankings. We're gonna go from the greats all the way to the bottom. We're just gonna put shit in wherever we feel like it. Yeah, let's just start this shit because I got a lot to say on a lot of these Resident Evil games. All right, I think this is gonna be hard. I don't even know where to begin. I think it's pretty obvious where we have to start with. We have to start with the games I didn't play. So I never played this game. I think that's Deadly Silence. I think that's the 3DS game. I never played that. So I have no idea how that is. Gun Survivor 2 I never played. And I think this is Resident Evil Outbreak File 2 I never played. I think pretty much that is it. So, okay, so now that we got those out of the way, those are the easy ones. This is the easy one. Now, we're going to choose, and I'm going to go into specific detail on why certain games are in the order that they're in. So, first of all, we're going to start off with the easiest one, obviously. Resident Evil 4. S rank. S tier. Godly, I should say. Or it gives me the itchy, tasty feeling in my soul, in my body, in my ball sacks. I love this fucking game. This is not only my first Resident Evil, this is my first horror game. Because I gotta be honest, before Resident Evil, I've never really been into horror games. I don't like the feeling of being scared. I don't like the feeling of being powerless. That's why I've always kind of gravitated towards a series like Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry is kind of the opposite of Resident Evil in a lot of ways. And Resident Evil 4 is like the pinnacle of, I think, catching of basically having both of both worlds, which is having that action, but also having these horror elements, horror action as I like to call it. The reason why it's so on the top, I would say, is because not only is it my first game, my first Resident Evil game, but it is just so memorable. There's so many great catchphrases and funny one-liners from Leon. Leon in this game is fucking badass. To go from a rookie cop to now a special operative that's looking for the president's daughter is fucking dope. and everything about this game is just memorable. From the shooting, from the enemies, the way how you're not fighting like regular zombies, you're fighting infected people that's intelligent and actually organized. Really dope. This game has my favorite reload animations. I don't know if anybody's seen the Magnum's reload animation or the rifles reload animation. I cannot explain how much I love Resident Evil 4 mechanics, how it feels, how the shooting feels. It's a little dated now, yeah, sure. Like, there's no moving and shooting in the game. So you kind of have to plant yourself and you have to organize where exactly you're going to shoot. But my God, it has one of my favorite openings of a video game, which is like you go to the village, you investigate it, and then you get to the big section of the village, and there's just wave upon wave of enemies just coming at you, and you only have a pistol. If you go in a building, it triggers a cutscene where the chainsaw guy comes through, and it's just it is batshit and crazy. But what I love so much also about it is that it always throws new challenges at you. It always throws new things. You're never stuck doing the same old shit in the game. The game always is throwing you with new stuff. Not only that, but it has the fucking merchant. The coolest fucking guy to give you upgrades. The coolest upgrade dude. This guy follows you throughout the whole entire fucking game. Randomly showing up and be like, yo, my nigga, like, what are you buying? And it just has a whole shit of guns. You're like, where the fuck did you get all this? How are you even moving around and none of the infected people are bothering you? Like, what the fuck? What is this? The game is very self-aware of itself. Again, a lot of cheesy one-liners. Leon just has some of my favorite cheesy one-liners. I think one of them was, I think he's talking to, I think it's Salazar, the midget dude, and he's like, and the midget dude is like, yo, Leon, you survived my trap. I'm going to send my right hand to come get you. And Leon's like, your right hand comes off? Like, what the fuck? Like, where's everybody going? Bingo, like, it's right here. Like, so many great lines. Like, this game has also the best replay value of any of the Resident Evil games. It has Mercenaries mode. It has Assignment Ada. It has Separate Ways, which is basically Assignment Ada, but only take a longer campaign that actually explains what the fuck Ada was doing. Ada is a completely different playable character. Then it has, of course, professional mode, and then you can go through professional mode with different costumes. Then there's special guns that can only be unlocked through doing certain things, and some of those special guns are fucking sick. There's like this one special gun that basically is like I call it the Mega Buster. And it basically charges up and it shoots a laser out. It kills any enemy that has a Los Plagas in them. The only negative I would give this game is that it is kind of the savior, but also the reaper of the Resident Evil franchise. Because after that, they were just trying so hard to recreate Resident Evil 4, but they forgot what makes Resident Evil 4 special, and that is it does a great job of blending both horror and action together. And again, it has one of my favorite enemies in the game. I can't stress this enough. It has one of my favorite enemies in the game, which is the Regenerators / Iron Maiden. One of the most terrifying fucking enemies I've ever fought. And I just love this game. And as someone who's never been into horror games, I think this is a perfect game to start people off. If you're not into horror, just enjoy the sheer awesome and cheesy of it. And yeah, I will say another problem the game has is that Ashley can be fucking annoying. But once you figure out how Ashley operates, listen, she is by far the most least important character you're gonna have in the game. Like, she's not that troublesome as some people would make it out to be. She's fine. You can get, she literally ducks every time you raise your gun. And the cool part is like, if you're doing like really well, she'll actually pump her hands like, yeah, go Leon. It's like, the game also has like dynamic difficulty. So if you're doing really well, it'll get more enemies. If you're doing really bad, they'll lessen the enemies. So the game constantly is I feel like a game anybody can get their hands on. And again, this is coming from someone who does not like horror games. But this game made me into a fan of Resident Evil, and it will always have a special place in my heart. And I don't think any of the Resident Evil games has been able to find the sweet spot. And also, this game is also the game that gave us Devil May Cry. So, you know, this game was in development hell for a little bit, and they spinned it off. One version of the game was basically Devil May Cry, and we got Devil May Cry off of it. So this game will always have a special place in my heart. If it wasn't for this game, we wouldn't have the Devil May Cry series. So we moving on. I talked a lot about that one. This is by far the favorite of the bunch. So it's God tier. I don't think any game could top that. However, I will say the next game, God tier. I'm sorry. I know people's gonna be like, what the fuck? He's doing it? Yes, God tier. Resident Evil 2 Remake. Now, if Resident Evil 4 is basically how to do action / horror perfectly, Resident Evil 2 Remake is basically like, yo, this is how you bring Resident Evil into modern day. Like, modern day without doing tank controls. This is how you make the zombies just as terrifying as any other enemy. This is how you reinvent the wheel of Resident Evil, but still keeping the essence of what makes Resident Evil, which is backtracking, navigating this big hallway, navigating this mansion / environment, figuring out where every tool goes. This to me is how you do a remake, where you don't try and reinvent the wheel. You don't try and add any stupid shit. This game is literally, for the most part, a faithful recreation of Resident Evil 2. And with upgraded graphics. This is the perfect example of how you do a remake. And the reason I love this game so much is because it is like apples and it is like an apples and orange situation. You could play the original Resident Evil 2 and be completely fine. But if you play the remake, it is just as good. If not, in my opinion, better, because you have, better graphics. So that's why I love Resident Evil 2. But also, the reason why I love Resident Evil 2 is because the gameplay is fun. I want to stress this and say, like, the gameplay, you would think, like, oh, how is zombies can be scary? Zombies are not scary. And they find ways to make the zombies really cool and really scary. The designs of some of them are really dope. The fucking sections, the way how you play as multiple characters, Leon and Claire, while is not as clever as the original Resident Evil 2, and that's one negative I'll give to this, is that it's not as clever as what they do with it. I will say the way how they handle those clear a different scenarios is really cool in its own right. Which is like, oh, if you played Claire's campaign first, and then you move on to the Leon's. Leon starts at a different area. He has to get stuff a little differently. Oh, by the way, Mr. X shows up a little earlier. And that's the thing. Let's talk about Mr. X. This is why this fucking game is so cool, and why it's on my S tier. Because in the original cut of Resident Evil 2, Mr. X was trash. You could literally see him back out of the door, he disappears. He is a constant terror in this fucking game. At least when you get to the police station, he is a constant terror. He is always on you. You can hear his fucking footsteps every fucking time you make a move in this game while you're going through the RPD. It is bonkers. And one of the coolest things, and this is what makes the game so cool, is that you could be, okay, let's just say you're in a one area where you have to go get this particular item, but you know that you can get to the shortcut if you cut through here, instead of taking this long path where it has all these enemies that you still left behind and probably a clicker. By the way, the clickers in this game is fucking terrifying to me. I don't, the way how they hiss and the way how they move and how vicious they attack is beautiful. But anywho, like, let's just say, okay, we know I have to go through here. Let me take the shortcut. Mr. X is blocking that shortcut and is chasing you now. Now you have to go to literally, he fucks up your plan. Now you literally have to go into that danger zone just to get around, just to get the item you want. Now, there are ways to manipulate him so he will come at a particular way, but for the most part, that is the funnest fucking experience. When you see Mr. X, and he is just an unstoppable force, and he completely fucks up your plan. He completely ruins your plan. Now you have to pray to God you can go into that danger zone, quote unquote, and survive. Also, what they do with the Resident Evil engine in here is really fucking dope. Like Resident Evil 7, which we'll talk about later. It was already looking good, but RE2 Remake and the way how characters look is really good. Claire looks good. When we first saw her off, it looked kind of weird, but it when you get to the final game, it was good. Leon looks like green. He looks like green behind the ears. He was so fucking good. And they made him even more cheesier. The way how they redesigned Ada, everybody looks how I picture them to look in a modern day. How would you modernize Resident Evil 2? And this is how I think you would modernize it. And I think this is a perfect example of you could take a original classic game and remake it and not fuck it up. This is a perfect example. The shooting is fun, the game is long, and also, in terms of replay value, it has really some good replay value. Not as much as Resident Evil 4, but in terms of Remake 2 has some cool stuff. They still have the Hunk's Fourth Survivor. That's in there. They still have Tofu. Tofu is really fucking funny, but whatever. Then they have a new mode, which is Ghost Survivor. And Ghost Survivor is fucking fun. It's fun. It's really hard, but it's hard, but at the same time, it's fun as fuck. And I love this game. This game is truly a definition of if you ever want to see what makes a Resident Evil game interesting, which is, again, you're low on supplies, you have to navigate this, you got to find your way through this police station / area while avoiding enemies or interacting with the enemies. This is the pinnacle of that, but done in a way I think is very accessible for everybody. So again, I think these two are, to me, the pinnacle of what Resident Evil are. There are some problems with RE2. Like I said, and I think I stated this before, the way how they handle the separate ways situation in this game is not as good. It also creates a little bit of continuity error because certain character in the original it kind of made sense how they handled it. In this, it quite makes no fucking sense. But whatever. It is what it is. The game is fun. And also, I would say my favorite, if anybody has to ask me what was my favorite campaign, I would say Claire, because Claire felt like, again, this was my first introductory. I wouldn't say my first introductory, because I played her. I played Leon in the original. In the remake, I played Claire first. And I would say Claire was fucking, I love her, like, every day. Like, the normal person of the group. Like, while Leon was acting more like a cop, green behind the ears, like, I'm here to protect people. Just like in the original, Claire's like, I'm here to find my brother, but ended up, like, helping Sherry and that whole stuff with Sherry and her dad and her mom and that. There's a great scene that I love with Sherry and her and is when she's giving the origin story of her and her brother, and she's like, oh, like, we have something in common, like, me and my dad, my family passed, and it's just me and my brother, and, you know, it's only us. That's why we wear our little shirt, our sweater, the family sweater, or jacket, whatever one, and we keep it with us. And then my other favorite moment is like, I think Sherry's like, oh, like Sherry gets infected. Spoilers. Sherry gets infected by her daddy, and she's like no one cares about me. Oh, look, no one cares. Fuck me. Why are you here, Claire? Everyone always abandons me. And Claire's like, motherfucker. Like, yo, she's like, fuck, I do care, my nigga. We in this shit together, my nigga. I'm getting you help. Claire's fucking badass. Yo, we need to do more with Claire and Jill. I'm just saying, these girls are badass. But yeah, Resident Evil 2 remake, so fucking good. Claire is awesome. I just want to say that. Moving on, we're gonna try and move on to. Let's try and move on to another one. You know what? We're gonna put Resident Evil remake of Resident Evil right here. All right, so Resident Evil remake. The first one is, I'm gonna steal a little bit what I said about Resident Evil 2 into this one. This is exactly how you do a remake. Again, this is like Resident Evil 2 remake is like, why the fuck would you play this original one? In fact, I'm just gonna say this is right here. It's good. You can play it. And I would recommend you play it just so you can hear some of the funny fucking dialogue. It has one of the most funniest dialogue. But this shit is like the Supremo. Like, this is how you redo it. There's added more content in this game. It is like, and they even have like an easy mode, hard mode, depending on who you play as. So if you play as Jill, you're getting a more easier time than you play as Chris. Chris has to get keys. He has to do all this other shit. While Jill has a more easier time with the game. The way how the mansion is set out and the way how it looks is so haunting, but also very beautiful. It's very claustrophobic. And one of the additions I love about this game is the enemies, and it's in particular the zombies. If you kill a zombie, I hope you brought gasoline with you, because those motherfuckers will get up and be Crimson Heads. And when those fucking Crimson Heads come, Those are the most annoying enemies to fight. Them niggas are relentless. They're like fighting Wolverine in Marvel 3, my nigga. They just keep coming, my nigga. They just keep coming. And it is, the game forces you basically to be careful and be mindful of how much times you've gone to a place and what enemies are around, and should you kill that enemy or should you leave it. Again, this is once again the perfect example of how a Resident Evil game should be. This is the pinnacle. This is right here. Now, the reason it is lower is because, generally speaking, I don't like tank controls. I know, screw me, whoop-de-fucking-do. Give me options. None of these, besides Resident Evil 4, has tank controls. Resident Evil 2 Remake, I think, doesn't have tank controls. It has a fixed camera, and I don't really like fixed cameras, but I can understand why they had to do fixed cameras in the past. And the fixed cameras in here actually creates a beautiful environment, but I don't like tank controls and I don't like fixed angles, but it works. Again, it works. It's fun. It's great. Also, it still has some of that cheesy dialogue from this version, from the original version, but at least the voice actors are kind of like, yeah, we're competent enough to like make it work. Unlike this, it's like everyone just sounds like they're fucking dying. But yeah, Resident Evil 1 is really a great game. Like, Remake. Like, I would honestly, if you had the option to choose which one, I always would tell you to just choose this one. Now, as for Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil 1, and this is the director's cut, man, listen, you play this shit just to hear the funny fucking dialogues. This shit is fucking hilarious. It's everything I said about him. Navigating throughout the mansion is really dope, but I really, again, like, this is just so whatever. Again, it's the first game in the series. They were still trying to figure it out, but what elevates it, honestly, is the fucking voice acting. It's so, you know what, I gotta put it B, just for the voice acting. I love the voice acting in this game. It's so bad, but I love it. Everything else plays well, but it's bad. This, again, it had so much. You get the snake boss battle, you get the most saddest tragic backstory in Resident Evil history, in my opinion, which is Lisa's little backstory. So sad. And then you have to fight her and you gotta kill her. It's so sad. I mean, Remake, it makes you hate Umbrella even more. But yeah, it just works. I definitely would recommend playing. Do not play the original Resident Evil unless you really want to hear the voice acting. Also, let's put this Resident Evil Reverse down here. I haven't played it. I haven't played the beta, so I can't give an opinion. Let's see what else. Where are we gonna put? Damn. All right, we're gonna put Dead Aim. I'm gonna put it at D. It's not a bad game. I played it. Funny enough, I played it right after playing Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 4. When I was younger, because again, after playing 4, I became like a huge fan of Resident Evil. And I played it, and honestly, this game, it's just fucking weird. Like, if I'm not mistaken, this is the one with the boat, and it's just, I can barely remember some of it, but I remember not liking the controls. I didn't like the first person, like, you have to wait, aim, and it goes into first person mode. Like, I fucking hated that shit. It just wasn't a fun game at all. I like the premise of being on a boat and there's an infection on the boat, But I don't really like it. Yeah, whatever. Actually, we fuck off because we got another game that just does all that better. Now that I think about it. What else? What else are we doing, my nigga? We're gonna put Mercenaries at D. Alright, so Mercenaries 3D, I had this game. I was so happy when they announced this. This is basically if anybody doesn't know me, my favorite thing in a Resident Evil game is Mercenaries. Mercenaries is fucking awesome. Mercenaries is always fun to play. You got all these different characters with all their own loadouts and special techniques. You just go through wave after wave of enemies. This game was fucking awesome until they didn't allow you to have multiple save slots. And because there wasn't a multiple save slot, you couldn't play the game anymore. Once you beat all the things, you couldn't play the game anymore. That was a huge fuck up on their part. Why would they do this? I have no idea. So this game is a fucking D, but the game is fun. It actually introduced moving and shooting, which was fucking dope for the Mercenaries. But yeah, it was stupid. What else? Okay, Resident Evil 2, a classic Resident Evil 2. Such a good game. It's actually made by the Devil May Cry creator, Decky, Mr. Royal Block himself. He actually made this one, and this game is really, really good. Again, it is actually my first, technically speaking, my first Resident Evil, but I didn't beat it until I beat 4. And this game is great. This game has a lot of fun. Again, one of the things I love, which this game does not do, is the separate ways situation, where it's like if you choose an item, if you pick up an item, it'll be locked out of the other campaign. So let's just say in Claire's A campaign, I pick up a particular item, and Leon B, Leon won't get that particular item. And so it creates this really cool dynamic of, okay, if I'm gonna play back this game and I'm going through Leon's, okay, I might want to have to save this. I might want sorry about that. I might have to do other stuff to, you know, might want to leave that around because maybe in Leon's campaign I'm really struggling on this campaign. Maybe I should leave that in. That is one thing I wish the Resident Evil 2 remake did more. But so far, but the reason why it's lower than the Resident Evil 2 remake is just personal taste. I feel like these games are the perfect example of like, oh, pick your poison. Which one do you want to choose? Like, you could play either one and get the full grand, but I prefer Remake 2 because of the graphics, and also I do like, again, the graphics, the voice acting, the gameplay is a little bit more refined, and again, Mr. X is so much fun. I was about to say Mr. Nemesis. Mr. X is so much fun in this game, like, but in the original, it's pretty good. It's still great. The voice acting is way better in the original 2. And the game is just fun. So we're just gonna put that right there. I don't have much to say on that one, but it's a really good game. Oof. Alright. 2. Alright. We're gonna put the original OG Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is a good game. It is a actually, you know what? I got a great idea for this. We're gonna put Resident Evil 3. Actually, no. We're gonna put it back at C. When we finish this, we might switch things around. But 3, Nemesis. is really an action game if you really think about it. It's really I love the premise of this game, and I love Jill, and I love the idea of like an enemy that is constantly stalking you throughout the whole game. And Mr. Nemesis is fucking, I mean, Nemesis, I keep saying Mr. Nemesis. Nemesis is a fucking monster in this game. This man is literally constantly on your ass throughout the whole entire game, and I fucking hate this motherfucker in this game. He is relentless, and that's what. And it's funny enough, it is the same reason why I love RE2, because Mr. X is literally Nemesis in RE2 remake. But in the original Nemesis, this game went with a more action focus, and while it was good, I never was a huge fan of the game, but I do love Nemesis. I like actually the choice system in the game. There's many moments where the character, you can choose to do certain things in the game, make certain critical decisions that will affect where you end up at or what happens, and I really liked that idea, and it was fun. But I don't know, it's just something about Resident Evil 3 that just isn't, I don't know, something about it. I'll probably have to replay it, but Resident Evil 3, original Resident Evil 3 is a good game, it's just not that great. I sure as hell don't think it's better than Resident Evil 2. But yeah, moving on. But man, listen, it's here, so we might as well fucking talk about it. Here we go. Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 Remake. Holy fuck, what happened? This is exactly my problem with Capcom as a company. When Capcom stays winning, they stay winning. When Capcom decides to do things in-house, it's always a win. Whether when they decide to do things out, when they decide to outsource this shit, it's always a dud. Every time they do this shit. And this is the same problem. They outsourced Resident Evil 3, and I don't know if those guys played the original Resident Evil 3 or just didn't give a fuck or just didn't have much time. First of all, this is the shortest Resident Evil game I've ever played. A lot of people said it was around 6 hours. No, it's around 4 hours if you actually know what you're doing. Even backtracking, it became 4 hours for me. I don't think it does a good job at like the Resident Evil mechanics. What makes a Resident Evil mechanics great is, again, the idea of low on ammo, having to navigate your way through an environment while dealing with enemies, either avoiding enemies or interacting with the enemies, plus figuring stuff out like a puzzle. Again, all Resident Evil games, with some minor exceptions, are puzzles. As long as you know where every item is and where every item goes, you can start quarterly making plans. This game has none of that, and in fact, it makes it very short. Like, a lot of the puzzles in this game is very easy, which is surprising because, you know, usually with these ones I'm talking right here, usually give me like a little, like, I have to scratch my head a moment or look up. This, I instantly knew all the solutions. Like, it was no fun at all. I love the dodge mechanic they have in this game, where you can, like, dodge. It is in the original 3, but in the original 3 one was busted. Like getting that to pull off was like, it's like trying to do the rev gauge in Resident Evil in Devil May Cry 4 for Nero. It's like if you don't practice with it, you're not gonna get it. But even this game is even worse. Like you won't know how the fuck to do it. In RE3 Remake, it actually makes the game dumb easy. Where you can just dodge out of the way out of every enemy. and it's just godly awful. No. But that being said, I want to say this. Carlos was fun as fuck. I love Carlos in this game. He was the MVP of the game for me. I love Jill. Jill has the funniest fucking lines in this game. Bitch can't even swim. That's my girl. Actually, you know what? I'll put it up here. I'll put it up with a C. It has so much good moments. The shooting mechanics are better. Are really better. Again, the dodge mechanics breaks the game. The problem it is a lot of cut content. Like in the original game, they had the worm boss battle, and they had the clock tower whole section. That's cut in the original. In fact, in the remake, you get a fucking boss. You just fight a boss. You fight the Nemesis. And the biggest problem I have with this game is Nemesis himself. Nemesis in this game is such a pushover. In the original, Nemesis takes so much ammo to kill. If you fight Nemesis, unless you have like unlocked weapons or you just are very good at the game so you know what to do, fighting Nemesis is a waste of time unless you really want to get those special weapon parts. Here, on normal mode, chuck a grenade, he's down for the count. In hard mode, chuck 2 grenades, he's down for the count. It's so baffling why they decided to do that. It's just dumb. And just areas in this game is just so short. Like, it's so short, but not in a good way. Like, the sewers level is like you spend like 4 minutes in the sewer level in this game, and that's it. You get out, and that's it. Again, I just don't. I don't know why the fuck did they think this game was really good. And there's no extra costumes, no bonus costumes besides Jill's classic RE1 costume. But it's like, where's in Resistance, which we're gonna get to. Resistance has a bunch of costumes for her. Why is none of these costumes in the game? It was just bonkers. In the original game, she has a party girl outfit. She's got all these other costumes, cool ass costumes. This shit, and you better hope you pre-ordered to get her remake classic Jill costume. Also, I kind of hate Jill's default outfit. Like, I'm tired of female characters just wearing like tank top and some jeans. The most laziest fucking design I've ever seen. But anywho, it's just not a good. This is the perfect example. Is where I would always tell people, play the original game. This is an example of what happens when you fuck up a remake. You don't fuck up a remake. This is what happens when you just remake something and you completely botch the idea. You botch it. It doesn't make sense that Resident Evil 3 Nemesis remake, Nemesis in the remake is less scarier than Mr. X. Doesn't make any fucking sense. But whatever. In fact, this makes me want to put Resident Evil 3 even higher, only because due to story reasons, you really feel like, fuck, like, this is a desperate escape and Jill is struggling to get out of this whole hellhole that thing made, that Umbrella made, and Nemesis is chasing you. This shit is just, it's fine, but oh no. It's fine, but it could be so much better. So much better. What else? Let's see. Let's talk about Resistance. Resistance could fuck off. I'm tired of, again, I'm tired of Capcom. I'm tired of Capcom kind of always outsourcing their games to other people and completely botching the idea. Resistance is just fucking trash. Like, they don't even make content for it. This shit is trash. Garbage. Awful. What makes it awful? First of all, this game lags like a motherfucker, at least for me. Second of all, like, the whole like, oh, you play as the mastermind and the whole team is trying to escape premise is kind of trash. It's like, bro, like, no one asked for this shit, bro. No one asked for this. Oh, fuck, just give people what they want. Outbreak. And speaking of Outbreak goes number C. And it goes right here. Let's move on to Outbreak. Outbreak is fucking dope. Cool ass game. It's basically a Resident Evil game online. And it's really cool. The problem is, and I'm going to put it higher than this. The problem is, with Outbreak, it's simple. It came out the wrong time. This game was too ambitious. It is a classic Resident Evil game with all the bells and whistles with a Resident Evil game, but it came out on a time where fucking online was trash. I remember playing this game online. This game ran like ass online, and it had no way to communicate to people. It was fucking trash, but once you play it, it's fun. It is a fun fucking game. One of the things I love so much about it is that you can, and I repeat, you can actually play as an infected monster in this game. That's fucking cool. If you get hit too many times or you get bit way too many times by an infected, you will start turning into a zombie. You can start fucking up other people's shit. That to me is cool. This game is fucking dope, and it is a shame that it came out. It was born too early. It was born too early into a world where online video games wasn't a thing. Other than that, this game is fucking dope. It's not higher because, again, it lags. It just plays fucking awful online. At least when I played it when I was younger, it was awful. Alright. What else? We're going to put Soul Survivor. Fuck off. I know it's in first person. It's technically speaking the first Resident Evil game to do first person. It's whack. I don't even remember this fucking main character. It's fucking trash. And I played half of it. Don't remember half of it. Whatever. Fuck it. Moving on. Well, you know what? Let's talk about 5. Let's talk about Resident Evil 5. And this is gonna be a very controversial pick. This is gonna be a very controversial choice. But I'm gonna put Resident Evil 5 B tier. Let me explain why I put it B tier. Because Resident Evil 5, despite it being Resident Evil 4.5, which is co-op, it is a fun fucking game once you have a co-op partner. And I want to repeat that. When you have a co-op friend, this game is a blast. Without co-op, this game is like around here. But with co-op, is around here. Let me first start off by saying some of the story reveals in here is really cool. Like going to the place that started it all, like Africa, where the T virus originated from. It's dope. Sorry about that. I had to take a water break. Going here was dope. The disappearance of Jill, which we haven't seen her since. Last game that had Jill in it was dope. Just the lead up for this game was dope as well, because like one of the things we saw at the end of one of the trailers was like Jill's grave, and we was like, what the fuck, Jill is dead? What the fuck? But that was dope. I really enjoyed Sheva, although she's not made an appearance ever again. She's just in one game and that's it. It kind of sucks, but whatever. I really love Chris. I like Chris, even though he's bland in general. I love his redesign in this game a lot, and it's the design they use for Street Fighter. Fucking Marvel vs. Capcom, the Versus games. But it has, of course, my boy over the top, hamming it up, fucking Wesker. Wesker in this game is a fucking badass. It has some of my favorite bosses in the game, which is Wesker's boss, Jill's little boss, if you can even call it that. Chris, the final fight with Wesker is dope. All the Wesker fights are dope. And this game is just a blast to play. This is the game I 100% completed. I 100% everything in this game. I have all the achievements, I believe, in this game. I played Mercenaries. This game has tons of content, tons of DLC. It had shit ton of DLC. You had Lost in Nightmare, which was kind of like this throwback to Resident Evil 1. Then you had Desperate Escape, which is basically like is basically a play of Resident Evil 3, where Jill and Josh had to escape the island. It's a fucking cool ass game. This shit is lit. However, what holds this game back from being A or even S is pretty simple. Pretty fucking simple. One, the tank controls. And two, the AI sucks ass. It is so bad in this game. The AI is so fucking garbage. When I talk about the worst AI I've ever played in a video game, this takes the fucking cake. Like, people say Halo's AI is dumb when you give them a order in a car. Nah, this shit is fucking trash. Like, Sheva will just waste a ton of ammo. She will heal you when you don't need healing. Then there's times where she won't even pick you up when you're in caution. She's inconsistent as fuck. She's fucking stupid in this game. I fucking hate her in this game. Hate her. I love the character, but I fucking hate playing this game by myself. This game is so annoying, and it's so weird because the game is fun as fuck and has a lot of cool stuff in it, but once you play it by yourself, holy fuck, you gotta babysit this AI, and the AI is dumb. It is everything what could have gone wrong with Ashley's AI. And it's weird because Ashley has the best AI, and this game has the worst AI, which is fucking bonkers. It is bonkers. Other than that, this game's a blast. I love playing this game. Has a cool story. I'm glad that they got rid of Wesker. I know that's a controversial take from a lot of the Resident Evil community, but we couldn't do more stuff with Wesker. Wesker used his time. His time was over. Honestly, it was time to move on, and already in 5, they established that everyone was doing BOWs after that. And that was cool. I actually liked that premise. Especially, it takes the premise of Resident Evil 4 and expand it to a whole global way. And I really thought that was cool. And I really I love everybody in this game. I love a lot of the sections. I love playing this with a friend. This is the best co-op experience you're ever going to have. And again, this would be higher if the fucking AI wasn't so dumb. But it is what it is. Alright, Resident Evil 0. Actually, I'm not gonna even lie to you guys. I never played Resident Evil 0. But I have seen a few gameplay of it, and I don't think I would be interested in playing it simply for the fact that I've seen the inventory management in that game. It is so fucking trash. Oh, by the way, Resident Evil 4 has the best inventory management. All the ones on the top has the best inventory management. So S and A has the best inventory management. 4, I hate inventory management in this game. I hate it like a fucking plague. You only get like 4 slots. 5, if you're using, I think you get, wait, 12 slots? I fucking hate this shit. Where are we gonna go next? What are we gonna say? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Alright. Fuck off. Operation Raccoon City. I know my friend's gonna, I know a particular someone's gonna hate me for this, but I really don't like Operation Raccoon City. Like, this game has so much potential, but I love the premise of fucking Umbrella sends a special op team to erase evidence of all the crazy shit they done in Raccoon City. That's fucking dope to me. That makes total sense, and that's dope. The problem is this fucking game sucks ass in terms of hit detection. The game has terrible hit detection. It's janky. It's buggy. It is fucking annoying. But I love how all the characters had unique skills. I love the idea. Again, I love the premise. I love the story. I love there's a section of this game where you fucking team up with Hunk, and Hunk is like issuing you orders, and it's like, motherfuckers, we gotta erase some of these files and shit. Cool as shit. I love some of the what ifs stories in here. Like, what if these guys, the special operatives, run into Sherry and Claire? I mean, Sherry and Sherry, Claire, and Leon. What happened to them? What would they have done? And I mean, and you either have the option to kill Leon, kill them to like cover it all up, or you let them go. All this cool stuff, all these cool what if stuff is in the game, and the game is just buggy and it doesn't play well, and it's weird because it's made by the same fucking people who made SOCOM. Now, I may put this at a D if I can replay it again with a friend, but no, fuck this game. Cool premise, but fucking sucks. Okay, oh my god, we how far are we, man? Damn, I feel like I've been talking for hours. Okay, what else we got here? Okay, we're gonna talk about these. I'm gonna wrap these up very quickly. I really like the Umbrella Chronicles and the Umbrella, the light gun games. These games are fun. Umbrella Chronicles is fun as fuck. It's basically a retelling of the Resident Evil games, but in light gun mechanics ways, and it's really fucking cool. If you're into light gun games, they're really dope. So if you just want to get a quick recap of what Resident Evil is, play the light gun game. It's really fucking cool. If you just want story plot lines and whatnot, it's really cool, really dope, fun little shoot 'em up game. And I gotta give the second one another shout out. This one is the sequel. Now I will say I would put the sequel down at the bottom right here, because it has it is all over the place. Like, in terms of like, it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, it's cool and whatnot, but holy fuck, the shaky cam is fucking horrible in this game. Like, there's so much shaky cam, and in a light gun game where you need to kind of shoot and move, and you need to know like where to move and whatnot, the shaky cam fucks all this shit up. It's not as bad in Umbrella Chronicles, but it's fucking horrible in the sequel. I don't know what the fuck happened, but it's still a fun game. It's just like, if you're not ready for all that, it's gonna hurt your head. It hurt my head when I first played it, and yeah, whatever. What the fuck do I even say about this? This is garbage ass shit. What the fuck was this? These are one of the questions. This is literally the moment where I've said it before and I'll say it again. This game in particular, Umbrella Corp. This is the perfect example of Capcom. Sorry, I needed another water break. But yeah, this is a perfect example of Capcom once again just coming up with shit out their ass. This is just Capcom once again was just like, yo, had 5 interns in the team and was like, yo, my niggas, like, y'all niggas ain't doing shit. Well, baby, we got something for you to do. You gotta make a game in 5 days, my nigga. And they're like, 5 days? And it's like, yep, you gotta make a Resident Evil game in 5 days. And this is the shit they came up with. This is once again Capcom's descent into darkness. This is what I like to call the dark ages of Capcom. This is another perfect example of their dark ages. Where it was just making really dumb and horrible decisions. And this was one of them. This game just is so janky and bonkers. You know what? Out of all these games, I will give it to fucking Dead Aim. I'll give it to Operation Raccoon City. At least it, for the most part, it plays okay, but this shit don't play well at all. It is fucking horrible. And that's all I'm gonna say on this. Alright. Very, very controversial pick right here. Revelations. Okay, Revelations. It's a fun game, and I actually like. There's actually 2 bosses in this game I fucking love. It's kind of like a horror. Actually, 2 of them are basically horror. This is fat, like, fish blob monster that you fight that can instant kill you, and then there's the Rachel boss. I think that's her name, and it's fucking dope. This game, in terms of story, is kind of trash. Like, there's nothing irrelevant in this story that's really interesting. Jill is the main antagonist in this game. And I was looking forward to the story because I don't remember if anybody remembers the preview of Revelations. But Revelations had this really cool, like, trailer for it where, like, Chris and Jill are kind of, like, opposite. Like, they're enemies. They're pointing guns at each other. I was like, whoa, these are friends and partners in crime. What the fuck happened to make them turn to enemies? Like, I was so hooked. I was so ready for that shit, bruh. And the whole movie, the whole show is, the whole game is fucking, story is whatever. Again, these Revelation stories, and we're gonna get into Revelations 2, which I don't even care about Revelations 2, so that gives you a sneak peek of what I feel about that. But yeah, this game is just story-wise, but gameplay-wise is fun. I like, again, it's a better version of Dead Aim. I love the idea of a viral infection has happened in a sewer. I mean, not in a sewer, in a boat, and your partner and Jill, I don't even remember that partner name, has to go and handle the situation, and a bunch of shit happens. Some reveals happen, and none of the reveals I remember because I don't remember much about this game, but I do remember the gameplay, and it introduced the raid mode, and the raid mode was actually pretty cool. It was kind of like a time attack version of Mercenaries mode. I still prefer Mercenaries mode more, but this was fun. Like fun game, just not as, I don't know, not as good as Resident Evil. Not as good as any of these higher ones up here. It's fine, it works. And you know, it has moving and shooting, but it introduced moving and shooting to the series. Um, but yeah, it just wasn't for me. All right, sequel. Honestly, I don't remember shit about this game, and I'm probably gonna move it. But I did not really care for Revelations 2. Um, although I do love the cliffhangers in this game way more than I did here. So Revelations 2, you play as Jill and Barry's daughter, and then this game is really fucking. Besides the ending, I don't remember much about this game as well. Like, the only thing I remember is that I did not enjoy the gameplay, but I love playing as Claire. I love like seasoned fries Jill. Seasoned fried Claire Redfield. She's just like hearted and is a fucking badass, and I love her second outfit she gets in the game. This game was just fucking dope. In terms of like seeing Claire again. But other than that, I didn't like the gameplay. I didn't like the partner system in this game. Like, again, I don't. In Revelations 2, you didn't have in Revelations 1, you didn't have a partner system. It was certain moments in the game when your partner will help you out. This whole game has a partner system, and I fucking can't stand it. I can't stand it because depending on what your partner is or doing, your partner has to help you out while or somebody else has to be the shooter. And I just find that to be boring. I didn't find that to be interesting. And you still have to look out for your partner. It was like the Resident Evil 4 gimmick, but only thing another person could play as Ashley, pretty much. And it was kind of boring. The only thing that I liked about it is you meet Albert's sister. But other than that, I don't even care about her all too much. So whatever. And they didn't do anything with her because I know she transferred bodies with the little girl. But I was just like, whatever. I do like that this game does have a good and a bad ending. And I actually think the bad ending is kind of sad, but whatever. But yeah, I just Revelations 2 is just not that memorable to me. I more remember Revelations 1 than I do Revelations 2. And that's weird. That's weird, but whatever. Code Veronica. Now, can I make a caveat to this? Because I didn't. You know what? We're not gonna cheat, so I'm just gonna say I never played it. Although I've seen a whole playthrough of it. Code Veronica, I haven't played it, but I will say a whole playthrough of Code Veronica. I actually love the story of Code Veronica a lot. In a sense of, it's Claire, and Claire is going to find her brother again, and instead of finding her brother, she gets kidnapped, and she's gone to Rockford Island, and all this crazy shit happens on the island, and yeah, the story's cool, and we get super badass Matrix Wesker, so that's dope. But I can't speak on it all too much. And funny enough, I own the game, but I have not played it yet, which is fucking weird. 2 mainline Resident Evil games I have not played. Leave me the fuck alone, people. Fuck this game. Actually, no. Fuck this game. Ninja. It's just Resident Evil 2 on the GBA, and it kind of sucks. It don't play too well. I don't got much to say on that. I can fuck off. All right, now let's get that Resident Evil 6. I ain't gotta say much. Resident Evil 6 here's what I say. Here's what I'll say. Resident Evil 6 is a fun, and I repeat, fun action game. But it's not a very good Resident Evil game. This game is what happens when no one knows what the fuck they want to do. This game suffers from identity crisis. It is not a horrible game, but it sure as hell suffers from a lot of identity crisis. Like, it doesn't know what it wants to be. Does it want to be Resident Evil 1/4, where you play as Leon, and Leon is kind of like trying to figure out what the fuck is happening, and it's very slow pace, and you're going through this small little area, and then it turns into this big area. Does it want to be Resident Evil 3, where you want to follow, where you're getting chased by this one enemy throughout the whole entire game? Does it want to be Resident Evil 5, where it's tons of action, tons of guns, and whatnot? It doesn't know what the hell it wants to be, and when it tries to combine all that together, it just falls apart. I don't even think it's for one thing, it's not scary at all. I can name all these Resident Evil games having at least a terrifying or a creepy moment. This does not. 6 does not have any moment like that. Maybe I can't name one moment. I can't name one moment. I will say that the enemies and the idea of like the C virus, like if you destroy a limb, another limb grows back, and it makes certain combat encounters hard, is fucking cool. But other than that, the gameplay, I don't know, just the whole story just doesn't make any sense as well. It has the worst story of all Resident Evil. I know it was trying to be ambitious, we're having it be a global threat, and I like that idea. I really do like that premise of like, and as I think that was the logical step to take Resident Evil, but it's just a lot of the mechanics and what they were trying to go for made no sense, because it tried to blend all these Resident Evil games, and it just didn't work because it didn't fit with certain campaigns. In Chris campaign, the game wants you to go all out and be this gun-hoing, towing, shooting Call of Duty game, but it doesn't give you enough ammo to do that. So you have to either melee half of the fights, or you have to pick and you really have to be careful on how much ammo you use. You know. Or if you're playing Leon's campaign felt like a traditional Resident Evil game, because you're fighting zombies and you're in kind of like closed area environment, but you give me a shit ton of ammo, and yeah, it's like what? I don't know. Like, the game just fell apart. I will give it its prop. It has the best control scheme of all Resident Evil games, including the newer ones. The mobility you get in that game is fucking dope. It's sick, and certain characters are just fucking OP. Like Jake is just OP with his like just walking, just karate chopping a nigga. He is dope, and especially in Mercenaries, because Mercenaries, every time you hit a person, kill somebody with melee, it's an instant kill. So I don't know, like. It just wasn't a good game. It's a fine game. It's just not a good Resident Evil game. It's like, what were they thinking? What were they thinking? What were they thinking? Alright, now we get to the final two. And then we're going to probably shuffle some of this around. Okay, let's get on with Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7, my friend. Now, Resident Evil 7 I actually did a playthrough on. You can check that out on my channel. But I gotta give Resident Evil 7 top. We gotta give it the Ada. Wait. gotta give it the 808. And the reason why is because this is what happens. This game is the perfect example of like reinventing the wheel. It's like go back to the roots. They stripped them down. They ripped the skin. They took out the SS fat off Resident Evil with Resident Evil 6. And they said, let's go back to what makes Resident Evil what it is. Scary, atmospheric, solving puzzles, figuring out how to navigate the environment, fighting enemies, dodge, fight, or flight mechanics. All this. Let's go back. Let's tear the SS fat and let's do Resident Evil justice. And this game is the pinnacle to me of what Resident Evil game is. Like, you cannot, all these Resident Evil fans, whoever says this is not Resident Evil, no, this is Resident Evil just in first person. It is literally Resident Evil 1 in first person. It has, to me, one of the best stories of the Resident Evil franchise. It has, to me, one of the best enemies or the most memorable villains in a Resident Evil game, next to Wesker, next to Spencer. Like, I will always remember the Baker family. I will always I will always remember those things. I will always remember Lucas. I will always remember Marguerite. I will always remember Jack Baker. I will always remember Evelyn. These are iconic characters in the Resident Evil lore now. And I think the game has, to me, the best intro. Another favorite intro of mine in the whole entire game. Like, this has my favorite intro of all the Resident Evil games. One of my favorite intro. Like, you just in there and you're trying to find your wife, and you finally find your wife, and she's talking about daddy's coming, and you're like, who the fuck is daddy? And then all of a sudden, that bitch just chop your fucking, just starts fighting with you, and just starts stabbing your hands, and chop your hand off. And the game does such a good job at building up to the suspense and the atmosphere and what the fuck is going on. It is great. It creates so much questions, and you don't get any of your answers until near the end of the game. And that's what I love about it. It doesn't, and it slowly gives you answers if you read the dialogue and the books and everything. The game is terrifying. Again, it is the atmosphere of this world is just so terrifying. And it is the first game that used the RE engine. And for the most part, besides a few exceptions like Marguerite and Mia with their hair, everybody was looking great. Like, the environments looked really good, and it only got better, as you can see, Resident Evil 2, and then we're not even gonna get into that other one. But yeah, like, just an amazing game, just an amazing game. But there are some problems that hold it back from being number one. But before I get into the problems, let me just talk about, like, even the end game stuff. Like they gave out a free DLC with Chris. They gave out an expansion pack DLC that came with cool stuff. They had Eat Them Must Die, which was this cool little like little extra game mode where you just slice, where you have to make it through, eat all the parts of the Baker Mansion, but with random enemies and random items in place of every crate. So you didn't know what you were getting. You would either get a pistol or a gun, anything, and it was so fucking dope, so dope. Then you had some of the backstory DLCs. So 28th birthday, I think 55 birthday was like the raid mode equivalent, where you had to pick up food and fight enemies. And then you had Not a Hero, of course, which I just said was Chris' campaign. Then you had Zoe's End, which was the coolest campaign, coolest DLC campaign, which is basically like, yo, like Jack's brother is like, yo, fuck guns, my nigga. I'm using this fucking hands. You can catch these hands and start beating up molded enemies with his bare fucking hands. With his bare hands, my nigga. And then there was like just miscellaneous stuff. I remember there's one DLC that gives backstory on what happened to certain survivors of the Baker residence. What they were going through. I think Clancy was one of them. And then they have the Clancy one where it's like, oh, well, you have to escape the bedroom, but it's so cool. So you have to escape the bedroom, but you have to, every time Marguerite would come up the stairs, you have to put things in the exact same order they were left. And if you don't if you screw it up, you die. And I was like, this is cool. Then they had one with a DLC with Zoe, where it's like telling like what the fuck happened with the Bakers, and it was so cool. This shit was fucking cool. This game had the best DLC of all the Resident Evil games, and yeah, you had to pay for some of them. But I will say the amount of information and stuff you got from this was fucking dope. But the reason why it's low and why I think Resident Evil 3 is better than it and why it's not S tier is pretty simple. The game falls apart, for me at least, once you hit that boat mission. Once you hit that boat, I don't know what the fuck it is with Resident Evil and boats, but boats don't mix well with Resident Evil. I don't know what the fuck is with their problem with boats, but it just doesn't mix well. I can't stand the boat section in there. Like, yeah, it gives a backstory, a cool little backstory of what the hell happened, and Evelyn, it tells you Evelyn's backstory, it tells you so much of the backstory, and it connects the dots on what the fuck happened. But holy shit, playing it again, was fucking horrible. Even on my first try, I was like, why would you design this? Just have us get the backstory and then go back playing as homeboy, Ethan. Another thing, I think fighting the enemies in this game is fucking horrible, and they're not engaging at all. I think the molded designs I think are kind of lackluster. Like, I get it in terms of story, it all makes sense in terms of story, but in terms of fucking fighting them, they're the most boring enemies of all these Resident Evil games. All of them. I think they're the most boring enemies to fight. All you have to do is run away and get to a place that has a door, close the door behind you, and they can't go through. It's not like they can bust open a door like a zombie can. There's nothing to them. They're boring. They're boring. The only thing that makes them difficult to pass through is pretty simple. Because, and this is a genius way of the game, by the way, is that since it is a house that you're in, everything it's almost like a Resident Evil 1 situation. It's really hard to juke the enemies into getting out your way because the area is so claustrophobic you can't go around them, unlike these other games. So you really have a really hard problem fighting mold. But again, like I feel like besides that, I think everything about this game is great. And I'll even say this. Even the initial launch for this game was so fucking clever. Like, with it, the first demo they had wasn't even called Resident Evil or anything. It was just called, I think, The Kitchen. and you just saw, and it was this cool little VR shit, and no one knew it was Resident Evil, but it was so creepy. It was so creepy, so fucking creepy. And then they showed it again at E3, and then it was fucking Resident Evil. I was like, wow, what the fuck? Resident Evil's scary again? What the fuck? And then, to me, what made it so cool is the demo. So, with Resident Evil 7, it came with it actually had a demo leading up to it. And it was so cool because every single month or they would update the demo. And every time they update the demo, there was always something fucking cool. There were always something cool that people was discovering about the game. It was so cool. We were all trying to figure out, what the fuck is the dummy finger? What the fuck is the dummy finger? What is the dummy finger? It was so cool, and I love this game. I cannot praise Resident Evil 7 so much. I think if we have to go in a list, I think, well, you know what? We're not done yet, so we'll go in. But this game is by far a fun game, and it's a great addition to the Resident Evil family. It's just the tanker mission really holds it back, and I think enemy design and enemy variety and enemies in general is just trash in this game. But other than that, story is fantastic, and environment, one of the most creepiest place I played in a video game. Now, last but not least, hold on. Wait, hold on. Last but not least, we got Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 8. And I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a very controversial pick. Very controversial. This is going to be a tough one. But I'm going to put Resident Evil 8 I think I enjoy Resident Evil 8 more than Resident Evil Remake. Now, here's what I'll say about Resident Evil 8. I think it is my top 5 favorite Resident Evil games. So, if we're gonna go by the Resident Evil counter, this would be number 1, this would be number 2, this would be number 3, this would be number 4, this would be number 5. My top 5. I would say Resident Evil 8 is by far one of the best Resident Evil games. It is so much fun. It is so much fun. And you want to know why I love this game so much? It is the best horror theme park I've been through in my entire life. It has so much love, attention to detail, and also just so much love in the environment, in the world they've created in terms of the village. It is so good. They took in the concept of Resident Evil 7 and expanded it to a whole area. It is so much fun just exploring this village and going against the different lords of the village. It is so gamey in that sense, where you have to go through the whole entire village and find the lords and defeat the lords. It is so gamey. But the main reason I love this game, it is literally a love child to Resident Evil 4 and 7, but more importantly 4. It wears 4 on its fucking sleeve, and it shares, and it has no fear of saying, yes, we copy 4, baby. We copy 4, and we don't give a fuck. Like, it embraces 4. Even the opening of the fucking game is 4. Like, once you get into the village, after you meet the old man and he gives you a pistol, the game's like, good fucking luck surviving, bitch. Resident Evil 4, you best take that, what you learned from Resident Evil 4, and apply it to this fucking shit, because it is fucking crazy. This game is bonkers. And the lead up to this game, let me talk about the lead up. The lead up to this game had so many questions. I love a good question. And I think that's what Resident Evil does in general. All these Resident Evil games, minus the ones down on the bottom or whatever, always have a good premise of what the fuck is going on. That's literally what is a hook of a Resident Evil game to me, is what the fuck is going on? How did this happen? Resident Evil 4, why the fuck is the villagers trying to all kill you? Resident Evil 2 Remake, why the fuck, what happened to the city? Why the hell is the city gone down the hill like this? Resident Evil 8, motherfucker, why is the village like this? What the fuck is happening? What's this ritual? Why did Chris kill Mia? What's going on? So much plot threads are left are in this game that I was like, what the fuck? What's going on? And by the end, you get all your answers, almost like 7. 7 takes its time to give you its answers, and so does 8. 8 takes its time giving you answers, but by the time you get your answers, you're gonna be like, what? And then you're gonna have even more questions. I'll even say this game does better than 7, because 7 had only one question near the end. I was like, wait, Blue Umbrella? Umbrella's back? What the fuck? What's Umbrella doing back? 8 leaves you with tons more questions than answers. And it's so cool. And the biggest praise I'll give this game is that every area feels completely different. Every area in this game is that's why I call it a fucking theme park, a horror theme park, because every area you're meeting and doing different things. In Demetrius, aka Vampire Lady, section, it is literally a homage to Resident Evil 1, but Resident Evil 7, where you're being chased by these enemies, unstoppable enemies, and you're constantly trying to make your way and move your way out of through the mansion or through this castle without any problem, and figuring out where to go and solving puzzles. Then you have one of my favorite sections of this game. I tell you, I'm not into horror games. I want to repeat that. But the second section, fucking the dollhouse fucking house. Ooh, up to this day, I still remember it. Up to this day, it creeps me the fuck out. Up to this day, it's so good. Then you have, to me, the weakest section of the game, the water section where you deal with the water creature. That was kind of whatever, but it happened so fast, and that's another thing about this game. And then you get to Heisenberg, and Heisenberg's factory is fucking dope. I don't care what anybody says. That's like the third best section of the game, because it literally takes the Resident Evil 7 idea, and it's like, oh, like, you can't get out of the way of an enemy, so you kind of have to fight that enemy, or you have to back your way up. You gotta back up until you find an area that allows you to dodge away from that enemy. And it's just so cool. Also, fighting enemies in the game is really fucking dope. Like, again, it feels like Resident Evil 4. They don't throw waves at enemies like Resident Evil 4, but Resident Evil 8 has really cool enemies. The Lycans I really like. Like, they're not boring to fight, unlike the Molded. They're very intelligent. They'll dodge and move very fast, and sometimes you'll miss a shot because they're just moving so fucking fast. And then every house or every section you get to is a different enemy or a different environment. The game never tells you, you're never staying at one place for too long. The game always is showing you or doing new things. But yo, let me not even talk about the game, but I can't even mention the game without my boy the Duke. The Duke is such a fucking cool character, my man. The Duke is so chilled. I love how he's helping you out the whole game. He's like, yo, my boy Ethan, Don't worry, boy. You just gotta go here. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. I got you. You want them upgrades, boy? Okay. I got these upgrades. Oh, by the way, I got a chef. Just send me the ingredients. Yo, go kill this amount of fucking fish and goat and shit. Yo, I got you. I got you with the thing. And the game is just fun. The game is just absolutely fun. It is literally the very fucking fun game. It is literally Resident Evil. It's Resident Evil 4 in first person. It's literally Resident Evil 4 in first person. It's crazy. It's crazy. But the best thing I'll give about this game, just like I said about Resident Evil 7, and this is a running theme for these reboots of Resident Evil, the 7 and 8 trilogy, the Ethan trilogy. Yes, I'm gonna call it. The tragedy of Ethan Winters. The villains are so memorable. And yeah, Miranda is a very important character to the world of Resident Evil, because she literally is the precursor that starts all of this. Spoilers. But holy fuck. The way how the internets have react to Lady Demetress is fucking awesome. And the game should have been about Lady Demetress, if I'm being honest, because there are so many genuine moments that you will not be able to guess unless you're genuinely looking for it. Whereas her interacting with her daughters, and it's the most sweet. It really feels like a mother caring about her kids, and also a mother kind of like, a mother is like, motherfucker. It's like, she's like a mom. She's like, yo, like, motherfucker, can you guys please capture this fucker, Ethan? Please. Cassandra! It's like these characters are so memorable. I don't have to tell you about them. I don't have to tell you about the fish dude. I forgot his name, but I felt so bad for him because all he just looks disgusting, and all he has is his all he wants is the appreciation of Mother Miranda. Who else? Heisenberg is interesting. Like, he looks like fucking Dante. He looks like a bum ass version of Dante. And the stuff with him is interesting, where he's just like, yo, I don't fucking like Mother Miranda either, bro. I don't like her either. I'm gonna fucking kill her. And then the dollhouse, again, oh, the doll lady, oh my god, all these characters are so memorable. And I will never forget it. This is the best theme park I've been to. Again, after talking about this game, I can't wait to come back for more to it. I hope there's DLC, because the only thing after you beat the game, the only thing that's available is Mercenaries, and the Mercenaries kind of sucks in this game, if I'm being honest, but well, it is what it is. And there's so much replay value in this game as well. Like, there's weapons to unlock. There's food to collect. It's just so much fun. And then you can speed run the game. And the game, people saying the game is short. It took me 6 hours to beat on my first try. And then my second try, I beat it in almost 3. So it's not that short, not that long, and I fucking love the game. The game is just great. Now, as for my problems with the game, there's a little bit of story problems. I know people's gonna say they hate Ethan. Ethan's not bad. He's just inconsistent. Like, he has some really funny one-liners and some fun. Like, my favorite part in the game is when he's like, where he gets captured by Heisenberg, and they're all trying to figure out what the hell they're gonna do with him, and he says, well, don't I get a say in this? I'm like, Ethan, shut the fuck up. Ethan, I did feel something about Ethan in this game. Unlike Resident Evil 7, and that's another negative I'll say about 7. Ethan's boring, but at least he had the character, he had the enemies to help him be interesting. 7, I think everyone's playing off really well. I just think Ethan is, I did feel for Ethan, but I still think he's a weak character. Like, if they said we're not doing any more things with Ethan, I'm completely fine. But I did feel bad because all Ethan wanted was his kid. None of this shit would have happened if Ethan would have just found another woman. But other than that, I think the game is amazing. But if I had to complain about it, again, I think Mercenaries mode is kind of whatever. I don't like the Mercenaries mode in this game. There's some story. Ethan is still like it's an iffy character, and there's some story decisions I'm just like, yeah, about Chris. I don't know how I feel about this. Chris is just a fucking idiot in this game. He's cool. He looks fucking cool. He looks better than his Resident Evil 7. But Chris is just fucking dumb in this game. Like, all he had to do was tell Ethan the situation, and none of this shit would have happened. But besides that, the game is great, and the game is gorgeous, by the way. Like, the RE engine, I thought Devil May Cry 5 was already great. The RE engine just beat that. RE8 beat it, sadly. But it's all good, man. This game is great. The shooting mechanics are fun. And what I love about this game is that the game never forces you to backtrack. It's not like a traditional Resident Evil game where it forces you to backtrack. You hardly ever need to backtrack in this game unless it's for optional stuff. The game actually has secret bosses in the game that you can access, but if you don't want to fight them, you don't have to fight them. You can just keep going. The game rewards you for exploring, just like a classic Resident Evil game does, but the game never forces you to backtrack, which I found really cool. Other than that, it's my third favorite Resident Evil game. It's not the best, and I will say, if we're gonna be honest, I do think the original remake of RE1 is cool, is better. But for my personal taste, I like it more. So if I had to give the top 3, Resident Evil 1, RE2 Remake, Village, or Resident Evil 7. Those are my top 5. And this is it. This is my full list of Resident Evil. I really, really love these games. And yeah, let's look at this one more time, see if there's any games that I personally would change. I think, should we change? I think we're gonna put this a little bit down. No, actually, you know what? No. Yeah, because I actually do enjoy that. This goes all the way in the bottom. And I will say for 6, I do love the Mercenaries mode in this. And I love the versus mode in this. It is fun as fuck. But the rest of the game is no. So we're gonna just put that right here. Just put it right here. Revelations 2, I barely remember anything about it, but eh. Put this shit all the way back here. Fuck that. I will say, I do like Resident Evil 3 more than Clap. hold on. You know what? We're gonna put this right here. Yeah, we'll keep this. These are good games. It's just They're just good. They're not horrible. I would put Remake. No, I'm not gonna violate. I'm not gonna put violate. Even though I really think it deserves it to be here. At least, you know what? Okay, you know what? We'll just keep it there. Because I really think Resident Evil 3 is very disappointing. Very disappointing, but it's not a bad game. It's just very disappointing. And I think that's it. Actually, we'll put Resident Evil 3. We'll put Resident Evil. Yeah, we'll put Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil Remake on the top because it is. I think it's the perfect example of how you do a remake. I think these two are both a perfect example of how you do remakes. I just think this is a way. As a matter of fact, I think this is just a stronger remake because it makes this. It makes the classic Resident Evil 1 obsolete. And it is, to me, a perfect game to give to your friends to show, like, hey, like, this is how a Resident Evil game should be. I think this, but if they're not into fixed controls and whatnot, I would put it back. I would give it to Resident Evil 2 if they're not into fixed cameras and fixed controls. But I still think these three are like the pinnacle of Resident Evil games. The pinnacle to me. But if we're gonna do my list, so technically speaking, if we're gonna do my list, it's gonna be the top 4 would be these games. But if we're gonna put them, let's put them right. So it would be Resident Evil 3, because I personally like Resident Evil 7 a little slightly more than Resident Evil classic Resident Evil remake. Anywho, this is my list. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you're new to the channel, please like, rate, and subscribe to the channel. All that fun stuff. Take it easy, mates.